Hi, welcome to another edition of the Alan Rosenberg Show. Today we're going to be doing episode 4 of Treasure or Trash, where I talk about albums that were either artistically or commercially dismal failures, so much so that they significantly hurt the artist, in some cases destroyed the artist. And this album that we're talking about right here, Peter Frampton, I'm in You, well, that definitely qualifies. Before I start, if you have not subscribed, please hit subscribe so you get notice of my newest videos, and it'll help my channel to grow. And when people do searches, I'll actually pop up, so that would be great. Frampton's solo career started in '72 after leaving Humble Pie, and his first solo record was Wind of Change. This is a killer debut album. Love that. Then he did Frampton's Camel. Another really fine record. It's got the original versions of Line on My Face and Do You Feel Like We Do and other tracks. His third one, Something's Happening, another fine record. And his fourth one, the Frampton album. Originally has Baby I Love Your Way on here and Show Me the Way. But what you find on certainly these three solo records is that even though the songs are really good, the performances, in my opinion, just a little bit flat, a little bit lifeless. And that's why Frampton Comes Alive, is my opinion, is the greatest live album of all time. And please check out my other video where I do a whole video on why Frampton Comes Alive is the greatest live album of all time. There's a number of reasons, and one of the reasons why is because it's the only live album that I could think of where every song on it is superior than the studio versions. They're the definitive versions, are all from the live record. And that's what makes that stupendous, besides the fact that it's an amazing live record. I'm in You, 1977, is the first album he releases after the massive success of Frampton Comes Alive back in '76. He is getting pressure from A&M. He's on the road. He's now goes from an opening act to a headliner in small places to now playing 3 shows at Madison Square Garden sold out and LA Forum and the biggest arenas, and now he's playing stadiums, and they want a new release. So they put pressure on him. He goes into the studio, and he does I'm in You. And the album gets pretty bad reviews. Creem magazine, I remember it well, did a review, and the headline, I believe, was Peter Frampton, I'm in You, call the Exorcist. Not a great review. Here's the actual review from Rolling Stone. It was the featured review. Peter's principal, let him eat candy. And basically, what they're pretty much saying is Frampton's primary virtue is he's consistently pleasant. It's the same easy listening ease this album has. The listeners neither challenged nor surprised, but left to drift in Frampton's sugary romanticism. He's professionally smooth, but devoid of any truly creative fire. He's an artist of solid but limited talent. That goes on and on and on. And kind of know what they're saying with at least these 3 studio records. Wind of Change is great. And certainly with I'm in You. It's professional, but it's kind of lifeless. This album especially. In fact, I have every Frampton album, and this is probably, this and The Art of Control is the ones that I just never really listened to. This album particularly is kind of lifeless to me. Let's go through the tracks. I'm in You is the opening single. In fact, here it is, the opening single, and I loved it. I think I'm in You is a great track. It may be sugary, but I think it's a great track. After that, Putting My Heart on the Line, lifeless. He gets in that song, he does that, effect that he does with the guitar and the vocoder, I guess you'd call it. But it kind of detracts from the song. And I just think the song is lacking balls, which this whole album is lacking. The next track, St. Thomas, Don't You Know How I Feel? Another dreamy, kind of nice ballad, but kind of meanders, doesn't really capture. It's got a nice guitar solo, but nothing special. Won't You Be My Friend has a little bit of funk, courtesy of the drummer from, what the hell is his name? From Little Feat, Richie Hayward. Does some percussion on that. Gives it a little bit more life. But it's 8 minutes long, and it really doesn't go anywhere for 8 minutes. It's not terrible. None of this stuff is terrible. It's just not particularly good. Side 2 is a better side. You Don't Have to Worry, which is a nice acoustic song. Fine song. But again, Peter produced this album, produced by Peter Frampton. And again, it's kind of lifeless. The vocals on You Don't Have to Worry, he sounds tired. You hear it. He's weary. It just sounds tired. And in there is a really good song. It's just a good song. It could have been so much better. Tried to Love, which I think was the third single, frustrates me. It's my favorite song on the album besides the title track, Tried to Love. But it's got this, it's acoustic based, and it to me, there's a great song in there buried that's screaming to come out. You know, if I was a producer or co-producer on this with Peter, I'd say, forget about the acoustic part of Tried to Love. Let's make that a balls out rocker. But he doesn't. It's like acoustic based. And then the second half of that song, I don't feel. Mick Jagger has an uncredited harmony vocal on there, and you could hear it at the end. There's Mick, and it's really good. But it's the best part of the song. I just wish there's a great song there, but now it's only a really good song. Rocky's Hot Club, well, it's written about his dog. It's another acoustic. Those first three songs are totally acoustic based. And Rocky's Hot Club is a really nice little ditty acoustic written about his dog. It's fine. It's a good track, but nothing fantastic. And then he ends with the Motown medley of I'm a Roadrunner and Signed, Sealed, Delivered, I'm Yours. Again, well done. It's the most light. It's got the most life out of anything on the album, really. Those two tracks, but not great. And again, when you have those kind of covers, you're like, is that because he just didn't have enough great original stuff? But it's fine. I mean, those were a single. Here's a single right here. What the single looked like: Signed, Sealed, Delivered, I'm Yours, from the album I'm in You, and it's fine. Rocky's Hot Club is the B-side. Again, it's not a bad album. It just could have been so much better. It's just lacking balls. And in a way, these three solo albums kind of had the same thing, but it's much more apparent on this album. He sounds tired. He sounds weary. And where's the life? So that's the story with I'm in You. Now, I did see him live at Madison Square Garden. We're going to go into the Alan Rosenberg archives here, and I'll show you something. So here's from my book. Let's go to that side. So there it is, Frampton, August 23rd, 1977 at Madison Square Garden. There's the ticket stub, $8.50, section 225. Now, Wayne Robbins, a legendary writer, he says, adequate describes it. I remember that concert. It's one of my first concerts, and I loved it. I thought he was great. I think Frampton's a really good performer. The smaller the better, but he was able to carry Madison Square Garden, I thought, at that time. He writes, Frampton may be the most polite rock star of our time. Didn't show even a touch of the swagger or testiness that are true characters of many of his peers on Mount Olympus. He's just a nice guy, basically. But politeness, unfortunately, does not make for great rock and roll shows. He did not put on a bad rock and roll show. I don't think Frampton could even imagine how to achieve true lousiness. His competence as a singer and guitarist, the familiarity of his catchy songs, and the stability of his three-piece backing band nearly guaranteed that an adequate time would be had by all. But that was about the measure of it, pretty much. I remember that show. He opened it up, and it was an acoustic set, which I thought was pretty unusual back then, 77, and it was clever. And he did You Don't Have to Worry, and he did All I Want to Be Is By Your Side. Then the band came out later on. Maybe they kicked in with I'll Give You Money, that bump, 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 bump. And that's the problem with this album. It's adequate, but when Frampton, after Frampton Comes Alive, was up here, adequate was not going to suffice. And it brought him down quick, and then he did Sgt. Pepper's the movie, and his next album, Where I Should Be, kind of was similar problem to this, even though it was a little bit better. And then he lost that whole level of success. So, Frampton comes along. I'm in You, treasure or trash. So here's the thing. If you're not a big Peter Frampton fan and you want to get into Peter Frampton, this is definitely not the album. It would be trash, for sure. If you're a huge Peter Frampton fan like me, and I have all of his albums, except for one. I don't have the blues album. But I'll get it. if you're a huge Frampton, then it's not trash. It's just not particularly good. And again, this and the Art of Control are the least listened to Frampton albums. I'm never really going to pick this up. It's just too sleepy, too lackadaisical, and a little frustrating. Like I said, some of these songs could be so much better. So, at the end of the day, I'm in you, treasure or trash. Sorry, Peter, but it's trash. Even though, if you're a Frampton fan, it's minor trash. Let me know what you think. Do you like Frampton? Do you like I'm in You? Is this one of the first albums you ever had by him? Possibly. What is your memories of it? And what do you think of it? That's about it. Please hit subscribe. Check out my other videos. Definitely check out the Frampton Comes Alive video. Keep an open mind, because it really is the best live album of all time for many reasons, which I discussed there. But I'm a big Frampton fan, and one day I'll do his discography, which I have. Again, please hit subscribe. Most importantly, stay safe, stay healthy out there, and please keep tuning in. And have a great night.